Good evening, everybody. I'll bring this regular council meeting to order on Monday, August the 12th at 7 p.m. and to acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of Sahadis. Before we move on with the agenda, I have a special presentation to make this evening, and it's you may recall a few weeks ago that we had a fire on the west side of the mountain here, and a long-time resident of Harrison Hot Springs, Joseph Blades, went up there on his own before the firefighters arrived from BC Fire, and of course we had our own departments there as well. So to recognize Mr. Blades from taking care of his community, so to speak, I would ask him to come forward. Is it there? He is. There's Joseph.
Right here.
On behalf of the village of Harrison Hot Springs, I'd like to thank you very much for going up the mountain there on your own and risking your own life for your own community. It's much appreciated. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, I've been a resident in Harrison Hot Springs for the last 37 years and plus, and I very much appreciate Harrison as a resort that's open arms to everyone to come and enjoy the beautiful lake and surroundings. And I know there's a busy agenda tonight, so I'm not going to take too much time, but I just like to see everyone get along and consultate in a good way and arrive at some good decisions for our community. I know there was a fire in my house in 2009, and when I saw the fire there, you know, it was just too close to home, and I felt impelled just to go and, you know, put it out because it just had started. And when I got there, there was flames on the rocks and moss, and there was a gas tank not far from the fire itself and a chainsaw. So somebody had sparked the fire, and it was fairly easy to put out, and there was firefighters that came up afterwards and put out the hot spots. So I just want to say that I just want to say that anyone that sees something, please just, you know, rise up and serve the community in that way. So thank you very much.
Thanks again, Joseph. And the next order of business, please.
The next order of business is introduction of late items.
Do we have any late items? No, moving on.
Approval of the agenda.
Approve the agenda, moved by Councillor Vidal, second by Councillor Jackson. Call the question, all in favour? Nobody opposed, thank you.
Moving on to adoption of council minutes.
So we have the regular council minutes of July the 8th for adoption. Moved by Councillor Vidal, second by Councillor Jackson. Any errors or omissions? Call the question, all in favour? Nobody opposed. And then the record of the public hearing date is July the 16th, 2024, here for receipt, moved by Councillor Vidal, second by Councillor Jackson. Any errors or omissions on there? None being. Call the question, all in favour? Nobody opposed. Thank you. And the last one is the special pre-closed council meeting minutes of July the 26th, 2024, here for adoption, moved by Councillor Vidal, second by Councillor Jackson. Any errors or omissions? Call the question, all in favour? Thank you, nobody opposed. And the next order of business.
The next order of business is business arising from the minutes.
Any business arising from the minutes from councillors? No? Moving on, thank you.
Next item is consent agenda.
Okay, we have, how many do we have here?
There are 3 sets of minutes and seven pieces of correspondence in the consent agenda. So this would be a motion for receipt.
For receipt, and I'd like to We'll address that later. Okay, this consent agenda is here for receipt moved by Councillor Jackson, sent by Councillor Vidal. Anybody want to pull anything out from there? No? Call the question, all in favour? Nobody opposed? Thank you.
Moving on to delegations and petitions, there are none, no correspondence, no business arising from correspondence, so we are moving on to reports of councillors, committees, committee of the whole, and commissions. There's one committee report in there. You'd like me to
Yes, please.
let that one out?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Will you do that first?
Sure. On page 45 of your agenda packages, there's a age-friendly committee report. And the purpose is to present resolutions and information on behalf of the age-friendly committee for council's consideration. Information. After reviewing the calendar and the 2024 age-friendly grant guide, staff are recommending that the open house be held in October. This will allow the events activities to be applied for support under the 2024 grant. We spoke to the chair, who's currently Deputy Mayor Facio, and did advise the committee by email. If council wishes to support these recommendations from the age-friendly committee, they can do so as is, or they can do so as amended by removing the words late September and replacing them with October in that first recommendation there.
Right, so what's your pleasure? Has it October, change that from September to October? Anything else, Councillor Vidal?
I'm just curious, through you, Deputy Mayor Facio, to our corporate officer, just indicates at a cost not to exceed $2,000. Do you know offhand what the total budget allocation was for age friendly?
Thank you. Through you to Councillor Vidal, it was $5,000.
It's 5,000.
Yeah.
Okay, so there would still be some room
3,000,
left
yeah.
for, okay, thank you.
Okay, Councillor Jackson, you have any comments on that?
Fine with me.
Fine with you, okay.
Seconder, I think, it's just Councillor Vidal moved it as amended to October. Is that correct?
That's right.
Thank you.
Councillor Jackson, you want to second that?
Yeah.
Okay, any further discussion? Call the question, all in favour? Nobody opposed, thank you. And the next order of business,
We'll move on to reports from councillors, I suppose.
Councillor Jackson?
Oh. Well, it's been a busy summer, but not at meetings on the 25th of June, which seems like a long time ago, went to committee of the whole. And of course, attended all the July the 1st meetings and dragon boats and Sasquatch days. A lot of great things going on in Harrison. Public hearing July the 17th. And just out talking to people. That's my report.
Thank you, Councillor Vidal.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Facio. July 16th, I did attend the scheduled public hearing. On July 17th, I attended the Let's Not C2C meeting. Just wanted to report that there was a subcommittee report on MOTI communication plan. It was agreed that any emergency-based traffic plan approach should include adequate signage and the intersection of Highway 7 and 9 be of high importance. And also to possibly approach the province through emergency management for some additional funding towards the MOTI subcommittee. I will be attending the province-wide C2C forum at UBC, hopefully, depending on timing. This is an all-day session, which will include dialogue around building relations, advancing reconciliation, and exploring new and innovative ways to work together. July 19th, I attended a Citizens Advisory Committee and met with some inmates to discuss some of their ongoing issues. July 27th, I attended the Dragon Boat Regatta, and I wanted to send a huge shout out to the organizers for an extremely well-run event. Well done all. August 7th, I attended the Kent Harrison Joint Emergency Program Committee meeting. Our emergency program coordinator reported that the latest snow survey and water supply bulletin indicates the provincial averages for snowpack are 38% below normal. The emergency plan is also undergoing updates to reflect the updated Provincial Emergency and Disaster Management Act. And I did want to report that the Chilcotin landslide showed little damage along the Fraser River between Hope and Agassiz. A debris catching area, which is managed by a First Nation, was successful in capturing approximately 30,000 cubic meters of debris. But to be cautious still, there is still large amounts of debris in the Fraser River, and boaters are reminded to be extremely diligent and cautious. Our community services manager reported that Harrison is looking to host another emergency preparedness open house later in the fall, and also reported on the community wildfire resiliency plan currently being developed by BA Blackwell, and a grant submission and request to continue updating our evacuation route planning in consultation with the District of Kent. As a final note, please mark the date for our Terry Fox run on September 15th. Last year, we exceeded our goal and raised $8,500. Registration takes place at 9 a.m. in the Village Plaza, with the run walk scheduled from 10 a.m. till noon. Please donate through the Terry Fox Foundation website. A simple search of Harrison Agassiz Run will take you to our specific run where you can donate. And I have put over on the table there just a couple of postcards. If you're interested, there's an easy way to donate using the QR code there, and there's a little bit more information. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. And next order of business, please.
Next order of business is reports from the mayor.
Thank you. Got a few here this evening. First of all, as you probably have noticed on the website and the Facebook, that we do have a challenge with the District of Kent for the food bank. And if you have any donations, do we have something at the front here where you can bring your donations and drop them off there? So please sort through your non-perishables and bring them in, please. On last Wednesday, the 14th, I had the pleasure of reading in the park to the children and families. A real pleasure, and which I've done for many years. And it's just great to see all the families come out to the school grounds there and enjoy the reading in the park. And of course, they were treated to some nice food afterwards, I believe, but I missed out on that one. On a sad note, recently we lost one of our former councillors, Zoltan Kiss, a well-known person in our community. He always had a story to tell, old Zoltan, He served on the 2011-2014. He was also in the APC, and he was a member of the Search and Rescue as well. So on behalf of council and our community, I want to send our condolences to Leslie, his wife, and the family, and God bless him. I won't get into the detailed here, but I did ask our CAO Tyson Cook that to put together a list of all the upcoming projects and developments and asset management, drainages, parking, new construction that's going on in the village. It's about 2.5 pages here, just to let the public know that your council and the staff, it's our staff here that's done all this hard work, that we are moving forward. And since the bit of upheaval we had earlier in the year, we are moving forward with all these projects, and I'm sure there's possibly funding coming through the pipeline as well. So that's a thank you to our staff for putting this together. It's much appreciated. In Agassiz now, you may have noticed there's a new air quality monitoring station. That's at the Agassiz Centennial Park Air Quality Monitoring Station. That was put in on June the 27th, 2024. This is reports from the regional district, by the way. Electoral RH, which is Coltis Lake, for those who are fit and healthy and have a lot of stamina. There's an annual Around the Lake Trail race, which is going to be on Saturday, October the 19th, from 6 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon. So anybody's interested, contact the Fraser Valley Regional District. And last, they've had up to 500 people in this event. The approximately 30-kilometer trail race around Coltis Lake begins and ends at Main Beach in the Coltis Lake Park. Good luck. That's that one. And I think that's it from me. Thank you. And the next order of business.
The next order of business is reports from staff. Item A is report of corporate officer dated August 12th, 2024, regarding the release of closed meeting resolutions.
Page 47. Please carry on.
So the purpose of this report is to release resolutions passed at the special closed council meeting held on July 26th, 2024. And the recommendation is that the following closed meeting resolutions from the July 26th, 2024 special closed council meeting be received for information at the August 12th, 2024 regular council meeting. That Julie Chamberlain, Ron Logan, and Kimball Solar be appointed to the Advisory Planning Commission. That Stephanie Gallimore and Sharon Chatney be appointed to the Accessibility Committee. That council accept the offer of proposed Lot 1 as part of the subdivision and development permit application for land legally described as Lot 32, Section 13, Township 4, Range 29, west of the 6th Meridian, New Westminster District Plan 27133 with a current civic address of 410 Echo Avenue. And that staff be directed to put out a survey to residents for feedback on the future use of proposed Lot 1.
Recommendation, need a move and a second for that? Yes, moved by Councillor Jackson, second by Councillor Vital. Any discussion on that report? No? Call the question, all in favour? Nobody opposed, thank you. The next one, please.
Yeah, the next one is report of Chief Administrative Officer dated August 12th, 2024 regarding the Rogers SenseNet contract update.
Page 49. Yes, sir, carry on.
Thank you, Your Worship. This report is to provide an update to council regarding the Rogers SenseNet contract with the Village of Harrison Hot Springs. The background is that at the April 3rd, 2024 regular meeting of council, the following resolution was considered and failed. The council's sole source to approve, or that council sole source to approve the acquisition of SenseNet interface fire detector system, which is generally described as 65 sensors, 4 gateways, 3 Zoom cameras, to be deployed in the east sector forest with time being of the essence. At the April 30th, 2024 special meeting of council, following resolution was reconsidered by Mayor Wood per section 131 of the community charter and carried. That council's sole source to approve the acquisition of the Sensinet fire detection system, which is generally described as 65 sensors, 4 gateways, 3 Zoom cameras, to be deployed in the east sector forest with time being of the essence. And at 10:34 a.m., Mayor Wood declared that Councillor Fascio's Zoom connection was lost, deemed him no longer in attendance. Council voted on the reconsideration, which had been carried. On the morning of May 21st, Mayor Wood called an emergency special council meeting to advise council he declared a state of local emergency. The verbal report from Mayor Wood regarding the state of local emergency goes as follows. Mayor Wood reported that there's a significant threat of an interface fire in the village of Harrison Hot Springs, and he has therefore declared a state of local emergency pursuant to section 9501 of the Emergency and Disaster Management Act. The corporate officer read out the declaration of state of local emergency. Mayor Wood reported on the following. Stahelis has been engaged and in a meeting with Chief Leon has been requested. On May 17th, 2024, mayors across the province attended a Zoom meeting with the Minister of Emergency Management and Climate Readiness. There were currently 4,850 people evacuated in the province due to wildfires. Snowpack levels are low, rainfall is lower than average, and the forecast above seasonal temperatures. The declaration is a proactive measure. There can be 20,000 people in this resort community with no fuel management that has been done to date. Mayor Wood had signed 2 contracts. Council began to discuss the agreements that were entered into. Councillor Allen raised a point of order that Mayor Wood must be permitted to speak. Mayor Wood continued to report the following. Mayor Wood had entered into an agreement with Sensinet for early detection technology. Mayor Wood had entered into an agreement with the registered professional forester to clear a pathway of 50 meters along McCombs Drive from McPherson Road to approximately Cottonwood Avenue. There have been several local fires already this year. That the council received the verbal report from dated May 21st, 2024 regarding the state of local emergency to be received for information. A Sensinet update report was prepared for the May 21st, 2024 regular council meeting outlining 4 options for council consideration. However, the meeting collapsed before council had the opportunity to consider the following. Option 1, the council directs staff to work with Rogers Communications to install the Sensinet SenseCore system that included software 65 sensors, 4 gateways, and 3 Zoom cameras to be deployed in a strategic location, including the east sector land at a cost of up to $150,000, including installation to be funded by general reserves. Option 2, that council directs staff to work with Rogers Communications to install the Sensinet SenseCore system that includes software, 100 sensors, 5 gateways, and 3 Zoom cameras, and to be deployed in strategic locations throughout the east sector at a cost of up to $205,000, including installation, to be funded from general reserves. Option 3 is that council directs staff to work with Rogers Communications to install the Sensinet SenseCore system that included software, 100 sensors, 5 gateways, and 5 Zoom cameras to be deployed in strategic locations, including the east sector lands, at the cost of up to $235,000, including installation, to be funded by general reserves. Option 4, that council directs staff to work with BC Wildfire Service to explore an early detection system that provides regional protection. Subject to option 1, 2, or 3, there were other options that council approve an annual increase to taxation is approximately 2% per year to fund the annual subscription, operation, and maintenance of the early wildfire detection system while the system is in operation. The council directs staff to establish a reserve fund for the expansion or upgrade for the early detection system. At a special council meeting on May 27th, 2024, Mayor Wood introduced the following new business regarding the Sensinet contract and forester. The state of local emergency, the chief administrator's officer's report was considered, and the following resolution that council approved the 2 agreements entered into by Mayor Wood for the Sensinet sensors and the forest treatment prescription was carried. And that the funding source for the Sensinet and registered professional agreements be taken from general reserves. On May 21st, 2024, Mayor Wood declared a state of local emergency without council's knowledge or prior consideration with statements, sign an agreement with Sensinet. This decision came despite a staff report explicitly advising that Roger was the designated service provider for the required services. This premature and independent action was caused significant difficulties. Sensinet is unable to deliver the required services, which has forced village staff and legal counsel into lengthy negotiations with both Sensinet and Rogers to establish the correct agreement. Staff's objective was to either terminate the contract with Sensinet in order to engage Rogers directly, which includes the Sensinet technology, or amend Rogers' standard agreement to incorporate the terms from the Sensinet contract already signed by Mayor Wood. This has caused notable delays in service delivery, which carry potential financial repercussions, including the cost of terminating the Sensinet contract and renegotiating terms with Rogers. The contractual issues and work to establish suitable service agreements add a substantial administrative and financial burden to the village. It is imperative that elected officials understand their obligations during perceived threat or emergent situation and follow proper procedure to establish contract approval to prevent similar issues in the future. Transparent communication with the community about the challenges faced and steps being taken to resolve them is crucial, along with regular updates on progress and any changes to service delivery timelines. Legal counsel representing Sensinet and Rogers acknowledged and apologized for the 6 significant delays in amending the contracts. After weeks of dedicated efforts and considerable expenditure of staff and legal resources, the agreement with Rogers and Sensinet at the time of writing this report is expected to be executed very soon. The installation contractor will soon commence work on village-owned infrastructure with additional equipment installations on Crown land and private property to follow once the consultation process is complete. Financial considerations, legal fees associated with the lawyer's assistance in amending the contracts for the village are forthcoming. These fees cover the legal expertise and service required to ensure the amendments are actually accurately and effectively implemented. At the time of writing this report, the total cost has not yet been determined. Staff will provide council with the final cost as soon as it becomes available.
Thank you, sir.
The resolution in front of council is that the Chief Administrator Officer report dated August 12th, 2024, regarding the Rogers Sensinet contract update be received for information.
Moved by Councillor Jackson, second by Councillor Vital. Any discussion? Councillor Vital, then Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Fastio. Just one comment. Thank you for that report to our CAO, and just to comment that the report certainly indicates the need for staff and for us as elected officials to make sure we do our diligence when we're entering into projects such as this. With that, I say that I will support the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Worship, for you. I think this points out something very, very important, that while the intentions of Mayor Wood might have been good, if you don't understand contract law and how it works and what you can get yourself into, like what we've just heard, it's like derivatives. They're easy to get into and very difficult to get out of. So I'm happy that the staff was able to get this all straightened out, and the legal procedure and contracts are going to be done properly. And that, I thank our staff.
Thank you. Thank you. Any further discussion? Call to question. All in favour? Nobody opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. The next order of business.
Next order of business is report C, Report of Community Services Manager dated August 12th, 2024, regarding the 2024 Age-Friendly Communities Grant. Our Community Services Manager is in here tonight, but our Chief Administrative Officer will be.
Carry on, sir.
Thank you, Your Worship. This report is in front of council to provide information on funding opportunity for an age-friendly project. In 2015, an age-friendly action plan was created for the village with great involvement by the community throughout the process. Significant progress had been made toward achieving actions recommended in the plan. However, there are still opportunities to act on some of the recommendations. In early 2024, staff conducted a community programs and service survey that was completed by 76 respondents. The survey highlighted that there is a desire for there to be more recreational activities, social gathering opportunities, and educational workshops in the village. The Age Friendly Committee also regularly discuss these topics at their monthly meetings. BC Healthy Communities is calling for applications for their Age Friendly Community funding stream. The focus area of this grant is age friendly project implementation, and the maximum funding per community is $15,000. Staff are proposing that if successful, these funds would be used to support hosting an age-friendly open house in October 2024. This open house will include a launch of an emergency preparedness resource guide for residents, representatives from Agassiz Harrison Community Services to showcase program and volunteer opportunities, and much more. Other funds would support projects including a 6-week recreational program held at Memorial Hall, expansion of the community garden space to allow more resident involvement, and an intergenerational art project to beautify the area. Remaining grant funds will support the age-friendly committee and staff resources to continue to review the 2015 age-friendly action plan, make updates to our website and social media information, and prioritize future projects. There are no financial considerations, and the motion in front of council is that staff be authorized to apply for the BC Healthy Communities 2024 age-friendly community grant stream for up to $15,000.
Thank you, sir. Moved by Councillor Vidal, second by Councillor Jackson. Discussion. No discussion? Okay. I'd just like to thank Christy Evans for doing the application and getting this project moving. This manager of ours, I call her the grant queen. She seems to apply for so many grants going forward, and we're very fortunate. There's many communities who have to pay for somebody just to do their grant applications. We've always been very fortunate in this community to have staff who are able to do that. And this is an example of one of our managers going through that course. So other than that, call the question. All in favour? Nobody opposed? Thank you. Next order of business, please.
Moving on to item D, report of community services manager regarding the Harrison Agassiz Chamber of Commerce event. I'll read that one out.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the purpose of this report is to seek approval from council regarding waiving the fees for the Harrison Agassiz Chamber of Commerce to host an all candidates meeting. The chamber has hosted all candidates meetings during previous general local election cycles to allow residents the opportunity to hear from council candidates in an open forum setting. Resignations from council earlier this year have initiated a by-election with general voting day set for September 21st, 2024. The chamber has reached out to the village expressing an interest in hosting this event at Memorial Hall on Thursday, September 5th, 2024. Staff are recommending that the rental fee be waived to support the chamber in their efforts to provide this opportunity to electors. According to miscellaneous fee bylaw number 1049/2014, the rental rate for Memorial Hall for a non-commercial event such as this would be $50 an hour. And the recommendation before council is that staff be authorized to waive the Memorial Hall rental fees for the Harrison Agassiz Chamber of Commerce to host an all candidates meeting for the upcoming by-elections.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Vidal, second by Councillor Jackson. Discussion. Councillor Vidal.
Deputy Mayor Facio, through you to our corporate officer, I believe that this has been standard with any election, whether it be a by-election or a general election, that the fees have been waived for Memorial Hall for an all candidates meeting.
Please carry
Through
on.
you to Councillor Vital, I believe so. They are set by the bylaw, so that is why we took a report to council. But yeah, I looked back at some past ones and I couldn't see that they had been charged yet.
Okay, then I support the recommendation. Thank you.
Call the question, all in favour? Nobody opposed, thank you. And the next one, please.
Moving on to item E, report of community services manager regarding registered professional forester update. And this one again is going to be read by our chief administrative officer.
Carry on to page 59.
Thank you, your worship. This report is prepared, is to provide an update to council on the registered professional forester engaged for services by former Mayor Wood regarding the May 2024 state of local emergency. At the May 21st, 2024 special council meeting, Mayor Wood reported that he had entered into an agreement with the registered professional forester to clear a pathway of 50 meters along McCombs Drive from McPherson Road to approximately Cottonwood Avenue. At the May 27th, 2024 special council meeting, the following resolutions were passed. The council approved the two agreements entered into by Mayor Wood for the Sensinet sensors and the forest treatment prescription, and the funding source for the Sensinet and registered professional forester agreements be taken from general reserves. On May 27th, 2024, after the resolution was passed to support the agreement, staff reached out to Foresight Consultants, the registered professional forester that Mayor Wood reported to have entered into an agreement with. Foresight Consultant informed the village staff that no formal agreement had been established or signed. Their planned scope of work was a fuel prescription only. They further advised that field work would be completed later that summer, with the draft prescriptions to be completed approximately 60 days after that. It should be noted, Foresight does not perform fuel prescriptions, which includes clearing of paths. Rather, they create fuel prescriptions which inform recommended steps to enhance wildfire resiliency. At the May 21st, 2024 special council meeting, Mayor Wood also stated that they will ensure they have contractors that are available as soon as they are required, as soon as their requirements are met. However, it should be noted that Foresight Consultants does not offer the service. The village would follow the request for proposals process for a project of this type, as we have for the Spirit Trail and Water Tower fuel management projects. The village is currently developing a community wildfire resiliency plan to replace the community wildfire protection plan, which may provide recommendations for fuel management options. On July 16th, 2024, staff advised the Foresight team that the village was actively preparing a CWRP. Once advised of this, Foresight recommended that the village wait until its completion before any more fuel prescriptions were prepared. Foresight Consultants also suggested that a presentation to the public and council may be beneficial to highlight fuel management practices and what can be expected from the process. The team at BA Blackwell and Associates plans to host a community information meeting to present the CWRP and will include fuel management information in the presentation. This will help to educate the community, council, and staff on the process and timelines involved. Financial considerations, the registered professional forester fees to be funded by were to be funded by general reserves. If council agrees to wait for the completion of the CWRP, there would be no impact to the 2024 financial plan until further fuel mitigation projects are identified. The recommendations in front of council this evening is that community services managers report dated August 12th, 2024 regarding the registered professional forester be received for information, and that staff be authorized to postpone any additional fuel prescriptions until the completion of the community wildfire resiliency plan.
Moved by Councillor Vital, so by Councillor Jackson. Discussion? Discussion. Councillor Jackson?
No, just again, your worship, maybe an example again of getting information that is incorrect and now having to come back and correct it. That's why it's so important that everybody on council, et cetera, follow the advice of our CAO and our staff. Just point it out again. Thank you.
That's why we have them.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Call, oh, yes, Chief.
Yeah, so,
Curtis.
thank you very much for giving the opportunity to talk on this. So from what I've gathered with this document, it states that we're holding off on all fuel treatment for this year until the community wildfire protection or wildfire resiliency plan has been finalized.
Tyson?
No, that is incorrect, actually. It's the fuel prescription is that we're not doing anything further in the east sector for fuel prescription. We are moving forward with fuel management practices, and that will be happening in the fall.
Okay, so the Spirit Trail and the water tower and the fire hall forest will still move forward.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussion? Call the question, all in favor? Nobody opposed, motion passes. Thank you. On the next one, please.
The next report is item F on page 61, report of Director of Operations regarding the McCombs Drive water main and fire hydrants.
Mr. Hudson.
Thank you. At the regular council meeting on October 16th, council requested that staff engage a professional engineering consultant to produce a grant funding application for municipal fire hydrants along McCombs Drive between McPherson Road and Hathaway Drive. Recommendations from the 2015 Water Master Plan identify locations that require the elimination of water main dead ends. Currently, there is no water main between Hathaway Drive and McPherson Road. Because of the dead ends in the system, the village has a water main flushing program to maintain water quality. Looping the water system at this location will save staff time and resources and will provide increased protection to the area. The water main design will include strategically placed fire hydrants so fire crews can respond to a structure fire and provide structural protection during a wildfire scenario, ensuring better protection for the community. A budget of up to $25,000 can be funded by the Community Works Grant Fund for the detailed design portion of the water main. Once a design and cost estimates are established, staff can seek grant funding to help fund construction of the water main project. The recommendation is that staff engage a professional civil engineering consultant to create detailed design drawings for the installation of a water main and fire hydrants on McCombs Drive between McPherson Road and Hideaway Drive at a cost of up to $25,000 to be funded by the Community Works Grant Fund.
Thank you. We have a mover, moved by Councillor Jackson, second by Councillor Vital. Discussion. Councillor Vital.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Fastenals, through you, Mr. Hodgkin. In your discussion, you indicated that there are dead ends within our system, and you specifically pointed out between Hathaway and McPherson. I also know that along McPherson, there's also kind of that dead end also. And I know that years and years and years ago, there was some discussion that eventually looping also to include McPherson Road. Is there anything possible, or has that been considered in this?
Through you,
Yes.
Councilor Fidel. So this report would just be this water main through this section, but we're currently in the process of doing our water master plan. So that water master plan will identify and provide strategic project priorities, and that's something that would be brought up that can be discussed through the master plan.
Thank you.
Councillor Jackson.
Oh, thank you. Wait, no, I was on council when we approved the water going down to McPherson, along McPherson, through McCombs. But we ran out of money at that time. We always meant to go back to complete it, and I'm so happy that this is going to happen.
Yeah, and I think
More fire hydrants down there would be really good.
so we definitely need them down that end for sure. And it's a good point Councillor Vital brought up about the looping, because there's several areas, as we know, in the village where the water gets a bit hazy. We have to flush it out now and again. So that's the reason for this, for the looping eventually. So no further discussion. I'll call the question. All in favour? Thank you. Nobody opposed. Motion passes. Thank you. And who's next?
Item G is report of Director of Operations regarding water reservoir maintenance.
Carry on, Joyce.
Thank you. The village has a water reservoir built in 2008, which is used to store our community's treated drinking water and provide clean water to residential and commercial properties. In order to accommodate future maintenance work, the village's water system was retrofitted to allow a pressure system to temporarily supply water whenever the water reservoir is not operational. Water reservoir repaint and seal work is a priority project and has been scheduled for fall of 2024 when water demand is reduced. To reduce project risk, staff are recommending that Aslan employees be on site to make programming adjustments, troubleshoot, and provide direction during the reservoir maintenance project. This will ensure proper water distribution and management of the system they designed. In addition to the water reservoir maintenance, the water treatment plant requires the replacement of 4 chemical pumps, which was originally planned to take place in 2025. Staff are recommending that the pumps be purchased now and that the pump installation timeline be moved up to coincide with the water reservoir maintenance work taking place at the end of 2024. By having these 2 projects scheduled at the same time, the pump installation would be included in Aslan's technologies scope of work at no extra charge to the village. A budget of $40,000 would be allocated to the purchase of the chemical pumps and the technical support of Aslan Technologies. Funding for this project would come from the water reserves. The recommendation is that council approve the use of $40,000 from water reserves for the replacement of 4 chemical pumps at the water treatment plant and for costs associated to having Aslan Technologies on site at the water treatment plant during the water reservoir maintenance work.
So we have a recommendation moved by Councillor Viber, seconded by Councillor Jackson. Discussion. No discussion on that. I think it's a great idea to get these pumps now, because we know the way things go nowadays, the prices go up. I'll call the question. All in favour? Nobody opposed? Thank you. And next, please, page 85. Oh, we're on
65.
65. So,
Report of our Director of Operations regarding the Lillooet Avenue West Oak Trees and Streetscape Plan.
yes, Chase, carry on.
On July 23rd, 2023, the tree risk assessment was completed by professional arborists on the oak trees on Lillooet Avenue. Results of this assessment identified fungal stress, crown dieback, spongy wet tissue at branch failure locations, chlorosis, and stunted leaves. The recommendation was full removal within 1 year or reduction of crowns by 25 feet with the addition of arborist chips to the base of the trees, irrigation, and a review in 1 year. Council resolved at that time to remove the trees and directed staff to work with contractors to salvage any usable wood for a future beautification project in the area. Since then, the trees have been the subject of much discussion by council, resulting in no action being taken by staff. At the June 25th, 2024 Committee of the Whole meeting, council directed staff to have an arborist reassess the trees as nearly a year had passed since the issues were first identified. On July 16th, 2024, a 1-year tree risk assessment review was completed. The results of the review indicated further health decline to the trees with further dieback, branch failure, and the presence of white rot within the internal tree layers. Recommendation of the risk assessment report is that the 4 oak trees be removed prior to winter of 2024. The west end of Lillooet Avenue, a vital part of the transportation network within Harrison, is in the village core. The existing road and sidewalk are in poor condition and in need of replacement. The creation and construction of a beautification plan would see the streetscape, including environmental improvements such as adding green space, in addition to the climate-resistant landscaping and tree planting. Investing in a beautification project like this also improves public safety by adding new sidewalks and lighting, and can be an economic benefit through increased tourism with an attractive streetscape the community can be proud of. If council supports the recommendations, replacement trees could be planted with modern equipment used to promote and maintain tree health. At the July 8th, 2024 regular council meeting, council resolved to refer the 2024 arborist report to the Environmental Advisory Committee prior to making a decision on the tree's outcome. On August 7th, 2024, the committee met, considered the report, and made the following recommendations. That council directs staff to look into remediation options for the trees to address issues with the roots, soil, and pruning, and bring a report back to council at the September 9th, 2024 regular council meeting. And that council directs staff to develop tree assessment and maintenance program and schedule Ultimately, these 4 trees present a safety concern. The protection of people and property is the village's priority. Saving the trees would be ideal, however, the risk of injury and damage is too great, and staff must defer to the recommendations of the arborist in this case. Staff will investigate the Environmental Advisory Committee's recommendation to formalize this assessment and maintenance process to try and prevent a similar situation from reoccurring in the future. The 2024 financial budget included $35,000 for a climate action plan to be funded by the local government climate action program. Staff plan to hire a consultant to create this plan. However, the Fraser Valley Regional District will be conducting a regional climate action plan that includes Harrison Hot Springs. Given that the FERD report will include climate action at the regional level, staff is recommending that the budget expenditure for the CAP be reallocated to a different project or initiative. Staff is proposing to reallocate the previous budget of $35,000 to fund the CAP to the development of the streetscape plan on Lillooet Avenue West. It is anticipated that the creation of this plan will cost up to $15,000. The remaining LGCAP funds for 2024 are proposed to be used for an additional electric vehicle charging station and upgrade several public works tools from gas to electric. Recommendation is that the 4 oak trees on Lillooet Avenue be removed prior to winter 2024 as per the recommendations of the tree risk assessment prepared by Urban Environment dated July 16th, 2024, and that staff engage a professional engineering and landscape architectural consultant to create a preliminary streetscape plan and renderings for Lillooet Avenue West, and that staff be authorized to amend the 2024 budget to reallocate the funds from the local government climate action plan previously budgeted for the climate action plan to fund the development of a streetscape plan.
Thank you. And we have a mover, moved by Councillor Jackson, second by Councillor Wyland. Discussion. Councillor Wyland.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Facio. We all love trees. But I was drawn to that one paragraph in the report that stresses that ultimately the 4 trees are a safety concern. And I would agree with that, not only for public safety, but also I see if there should be a lot more loss of branches, or, you know, heaven forbid, one of the whole trees come down in a winter windstorm, that it would be, we could be facing some liability issues with the village. We'll support the recommendation. However, once again, I would like consideration be given that if there is any viable wood, once the trees do come down, that we keep that wood. Perhaps it could be incorporated somewhat into the streetscape or in any other future projects that the village might undertake. So, thank you, Deputy.
Thank you. Councillor Jackson, you have any comments?
Just a quick comment. Procrastination can always be very, very expensive. And we know there's a problem with these trees. If something happens, our liability increases immensely because we know what should be done. So I support the report. Thank you.
Thank you. First, I want to thank the committee's comments on this. I think safety is paramount when it comes to the residents or the public at large. For years, there's been nothing but complaints from that side of Harrison in regards we've been left alone, and the front esplanade has been redone and nothing's been done on Lillooet Avenue there. This is a perfect opportunity, and there is some diagrams on the back of what it may look like, because there'll be more consultation with the public and that later on, if this passes, that it will enhance that part of Lillooet Avenue, and And of course, there are quite a few businesses on that side as well that would be looking forward to the revitalization, I use that word, of that street. I always make a sarcastic comment that the sidewalk on the south side was put in by the Romans. It's been there since I arrived here. So it's, I think that's, I think safety is number one as far as I'm concerned. I'll call the question. All in favor? Motion passes. Nobody opposed. Thank you. Next order of business, please.
The next order of business is on page 85, item I, report of Director of Operations and Development Master Plan Village Office.
Carry on, yes.
Council's 2023 strategic plan identifies the village's strategic priorities and action items, which include conducting a village facilities review and setting priorities for a village office and other facilities, update master plans, pursue attainable and affordable housing, investigate lead development, seniors housing and resource center, and investigate a recreation facility. At the regular council meeting of January 15th, council requested that staff research costs and funding sources and report back with the draft plan for a new village office and council chambers. At the regular council meeting of May 6th, council adopted the recommendation from the age-friendly committee report that council considered directing staff to research community hall with room for health services and plans for a new village office. The committee of the whole meeting of June 25th, council requested that the concept of a new village office include housing be referred to staff for a report to be brought to council, including options for design and costing. To accomplish council's priority actions, staff recommend creating a development master plan of village-owned property for land use optimization. This plan would create efficient use of the land, balancing potential multiple uses such as a village office with residential housing, seniors housing, resource center, health services, or recreation facility. The master plan would create a comprehensive vision for the land and provide project goals and phasing to ensure all aspects of the development are aligned with the overall goals and objectives. The new village office and residential housing would be included as the first phase in the master plan. This would effectively identify the appropriate location on village property so the building can be properly integrated into the overall vision of the entire site. Through community engagement involving residents, stakeholders, and council, the planning process would ensure that the community's needs and concerns are considered and addressed. Financial planning would also be evaluated to provide a framework for budgeting and grant applications so the project can remain financially viable. Budget of $50,000 would be allocated to create a development master plan, which would be funded through the Community Works Fund grant funding. Recommendation is that staff engage a professional land use planning firm to create a development master plan for village-owned land, identifying a location for a new village office that includes residential housing, and that up to $50,000 from the Community Works Fund grant be allocated to fund the plan.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Vital, second by Councillor Jackson. Discussion. Councillor Vital.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Facio. Through you to our Director of Operations. Thank you for the report, and I certainly support the development of a master plan. Brilliant. That's why we have staff who have the expertise to make these recommendations. Well done. Thank you.
Councillor Jackson. No comment. No comment. Thank you very much for your report. Call the question. All in favour of the recommendation? Motion passes. Nobody opposed. Thank you. Next order of business.
The next order of business is report of corporate officer regarding Harrison Water Sports tenure application.
Carry on, man.
Thank you. The purpose of this report is to present an updated proposal to council for Harrison Water Sports commercial moorage tenure application with the province. In October, council received correspondence from Harrison Water Sports enclosing a copy of their project plans for a new tenure application with the province. They have been operating their commercial moorage through a sublease with the resort for several years. The moorage provides a loading and unloading space for the floating water park clients, houses the rental sea-doos and bumper boats, and contains a ticket office, change room, storage, and equipment. Previously, they had entered into longer-term sublease agreements with the resort. However, they've recently been given only a one-year lease and are looking to relocate their moorage by applying for tenure directly to the province. The floating water park is separate from the commercial moorage, and Harrison Water Sports has a license of occupation with the province until 2045 for the water park. Council resolved at that time to refer this matter to staff for more information. Initially, the tenure application was for a site located on the west side of the lagoon against the berm. In May, staff recommended that council reject the proposed location due to concerns associated to heavy equipment and the stability of the berm, in addition to the proximity to the public swimming area and the village's water intake pipe. Council resolved to refer the matter to the committee of the whole and invite Harrison Water Sports to attend. In June, Harrison Water Sports presented their tenure application and council referred it back to staff for further research, requesting that a report be brought for council's consideration at this meeting. In July, staff met with representatives from Harrison Water Sports to discuss the tenure application. Harrison Water Sports proposed to change their tenure application location to between the current location of the dock and the village's floatplane dock. This new plan proposes to install a gangway connected to the dock on the beachfront park. Attached to this report is the updated site details document dated August 2024, outlining the proposal in further detail. This new proposal addresses any issues associated with the use of the berm. However, it would require installation of piles on the beach. While not completely eliminated, concerns with respect to the adjacent swimming locations are lessened by this new proposal, given that there would be less area for Harrison Water Sports to cover as they load people on and off of the water park. There's currently a roped off swimming area located west of the floatplane dock. It's anticipated that the impact to the swimming area would be minimal. Additionally, the updated location does not present any concerns with respect to the village's water intake pipe. Stakeholder consultation and referrals for an application of this nature normally come from the province directly. It should be noted that it is unusual for the village to provide input at this stage. Harrison Water Sports has advised that the province encouraged them to seek referrals in advance due to a significant backlog in processing tenure applications. There's recommendation before council with two options. One is to support the updated commercial moorage tenure application as shown in the proposed site details document dated August 2024, or alternatively, council may resolve to reject it.
So we have two recommendations here. Who wants to start this off? Council Vital?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Facio. Through you to Corporate Officer or CAO, whoever was able to answer the question. Even though the village may have input into the tenure or the move of the moorage site, it is ultimately up to the province to make that final decision. So we are only providing input, is that correct?
Please carry on.
Thank you. Through you to Councillor Vital. Yes, so the province can choose whether or not they will grant the tenure. I don't know how likely it would be that the province would support it without the support of the village. I can't speak to that. It is possible that they might grant it even without the support of the village.
Okay, thank you. And one other question. Just looking at the drawing and the report. So could you just confirm that this gangplank will be attached to the existing floatplane dock? Is that?
No,
All
separate.
right, perhaps, all right. So it will be totally separate? That was the other, so then what will happen is that gangplank will be coming from the beach area all the way out. And you're saying that that swimming area, roped off swimming area should be minimally impacted. Is that correct?
Please.
Thank you. Through you to Councillor Vital. Yeah, so it is for a completely separate dock, and my understanding is that it would be very similar to how the floatplane dock is set up in terms of the connection to the beachfront. The roped off swimming area is quite a bit lower than where they have at the top of this drawing, I believe that's where the rentals are. So the roped off area for swimming doesn't actually extend that far out. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jackson, you have any comments?
No, just that, I'm very happy that they took a bit of advice at the meeting and moved to the west. And this looks like pretty good one to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, this came back as a suggestion from council to look at the west side instead of the east side, which wasn't going to work out. And this addresses to, I believe, addresses the concerns of the correspondence we received from the Dragon Boat Association, and to a point addresses the one correspondence we received from a resident. Sorry. This business employs many people in our community. It's a very important business for our community. It's been here for a number of years. It's, to what I've seen since it started, it's a very well-run business. And it gives the visitors, whether it be the grown-ups or the children, something different to do in Harrison Hot Springs. And I think it's been well received for what I see when I'm walking by there, especially on these long holiday weekends. So I'm fully supportive of the recommendation and wish them all the best. So I'm assuming we're going with option 1. Is that correct? Who wants to move that? Moved by Councillor Vital, seconded by Councillor Jackson. Any further discussion? So the option 1 is the council support Housing and Water Sports updated commercial moorage tenure application shown in the proposed site details document dated August the 24th. Motion passes. Nobody opposed. Thank you. And the next order of business, please.
The next report is our report of planning consultant dated August 12th, 2024 regarding development permit for 410 Echo Avenue.
Mr. Cossey.
Thank you, Your Worship. The applicant intends to subdivide the property into 4 residential properties for the construction of 2 duplexes. Proposed lot 1 will be an open space that is intended to be dedicated to either the village or return to Crown. Access to the residential properties will be from a proposed laneway running along the top of the properties. The site is approximately 0.47 hectares, 1.16 acres, 4,700 square meters, or 50,592 square feet in size, and is currently accessible from Echo Avenue. The property is roughly an L-shaped lot and is bound by Spring Park on the north, residential uses in the south and east, and Miami Creek to the west. The site is zoned for R2 activities, and the proposed use meets the permitted use requirements. Current structures on the site include a derelict single-family residence with a patio, an old chicken coop, and the remainder of the lot, approximately 60% of it, is forested land. The property is located in the Miami River Development Permit Area, which addresses environmental issues or the riparian area protection regulations of the province. The report has been viewed by the province, and on the review notice sent to the village is the following. Please note that if the proposed development does not proceed with the dedication of lot 1 to the Crown or the village, a new riparian area protection report must be submitted, including undue hardship calculations for lot 1, as this will be considered a change in development. This application was submitted prior to the adoption of the current official community plan, so we still addressing everything under OCP bylaw 864/2007. You'll notice on the referral agencies, which staff is recommending that we don't send it to any agency, but please remember, council has the authority to send it to anybody that they see fit. But staff is suggesting at this time that not to send it to any agency. And there's on title, we did a review of title, and there is no flooding covenant registered against title, and that must be addressed for any potential flooding issue. So what we have is the development permit. I draw your attention to section 6, page 102 of the agenda. And And you'll see in there that the following conditions apply to the development of the lands or apply to the use of the lands. There's a whole host of activities that are coming, that information is taken from the report that was prepared by the qualified environmental professional. So that is taken right out of the report. So as a part of the process, that report that was created will become part of this development permit. So everybody knows exactly what is supposed to happen. As well, you look at number 8 at the bottom, Roman numeral number 8, a replanting plan for these lands must follow the revegetation plan as outlined in Appendix A of a report submitted by Stantec Consulting dated April 5, 2024. So again, everybody knows exactly what is required of this developer to do this. He can't go away and say, I was only supposed to do X, where this report says you have to do X, Y, and Z. As well, the development of the site must follow all the requirements as outlined in the report, addressing the following. The project work plan, which is identified in section 2.2, which is on page 114 of the agenda package. The environmental mitigation protection plan, section 4, which is outlined on page 118 of the report in front of you. And then the environmental monitoring and reporting, which is identified in section 5, and that's outlined on page 132 of the report that's in front of you. So with that in mind, your worship, staff is recommending that development permit DP 0422 be issued to
Wu Ying Gao.
Thank you, Ying Gao and Triple Land Incorporated for property located at 410 Echo, Harrison Hot Springs for land legally described as Lot 32, Section 13, Township 4, Range 29, west of the 6th Meridian, New Westminster District Plan 27,133, subject to the following. The village receiving an irrevocable letter of credit in the amount of $33,055. The Fraser Valley Regional District issuing a demolition permit for any building or structures on the proposed site. The applicant entered into a works and services agreement with the village. The applicant entered into a floodplain covenant and council's acceptance of proposed lot 1 as an extension of Spring Park.
Thank you, Mr. Cossey. So do we have a mover? Moved by Councillor Vidal, second by Councillor Jackson. Discussion. Councillor Vidal.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Fazio, through you to our planning consultant. On the recommendation, point E, council's acceptance of proposal 1 as an extension of Spring Park. It was further reported earlier this evening that there was a resolution released from a closed meeting indicating that that lot 1 would not necessarily be an extension of Spring Park. The recommendation that was passed was that we would go up to a survey with our residents for some suggestions for what they felt and that could possibly be used for. So also on page 99, where the tentative subdivision plan is, the red dotted line, and help me understand a little bit, is the stream side protection and enhancement area boundary, which means nothing could be built past that boundary. Is that?
That's correct,
That's
Your
correct.
Worship.
Thank you.
Okay, so even though nothing could be built past that line, the lots would still go all the way back to Miami River. So the owners there would be able to have, I'm not saying to access Miami River, but would have full access over to the bank of the Miami River. Is that?
That is correct as well, Your Worship.
Okay,
But they just can't develop in there. They have to follow the development permit requirements and the riparian area protection regulation report. So they can't go in there and take out whatever and put it in a rose garden. They have to follow the native species requirements or whatever's in there.
all right. Thank you. And one other
Carry on,
question.
please, carry on.
I'm glad to see that something is finally going to be developed. On the development permit number, you spoke about on page 102, under item 6, the following conditions apply. Can you confirm that whatever is required there would be at a cost to the developer, not to the village? Is that correct?
That is correct, your worship.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Clancy. Nothing further.
Thank you, Councillor Jackson.
No comment.
No comment.
Your worship.
Yes,
May then,
please.
if you wish, then I would suggest on the recommendations, area E, council's acceptance of proposed lot 1, period.
Okay,
As a
yes, our corporate officer has a comment on that.
Yes, so the motion was moved and seconded as it is presented here, so I would need a amendment to be moved and seconded to amend the resolution with the removal of as an extension of Spring Park from the subject E.
Do you want it as a separate motion or do you move?
An amendment,
Amendment is good
amendment to the motion, amendment moved, seconded and voted on.
Okay,
Yeah, still move with the amendment.
moved by Councillor Vital, second by Councillor Jackson, the amendments. I just have a question. While the fire chief is here, the laneway, I'm assuming, would be adequate for the fire protection? You have to take a truck in there, or would you have room from the streets for any, God forbid, any?
Yeah, we've been down there with both trucks and there's adequate room down that way. If we need to go in, we can always back up.
Okay, thank you. Okay, no further discussion, I'll call the question, oh, sorry.
We'll call the question on the amendment first.
Okay, on the amendment, I call the question, all in favor, nobody opposed? Now the main motion that was moved and seconded, was it not? Call the question, all in favor, nobody opposed? Thank you. Right, so that's, who's next? Rezoning.
Report of planning consultant regarding the rezoning application for 435 Pine Avenue.
Mr. Cussy.
Thank you, your worship. The development to present for council's consideration of rezoning application from the current R2 zone to an R5 zone. Attached to this report is a neighborhood plan outlining the potential development of the overall area. The development site consists of one property with the assigned civic address of 435 Pine. Located on the site is a single family dwelling, and the site is approximately 0.405 hectares or 4,050 square meters in size. It's fully serviced and is accessible from Pine Avenue. There's also a proposed multi-unit development located at 442-464 Pine Avenue. When the two applications were brought before council at the May 6, 2024 regular council meeting, council referred the applications back to staff to see if a potential concept design layout for the entire Pine Avenue area, particularly with respect to sidewalks. This the concept plan is attached to this report for council's review, and that's on page 148 of your agenda package. The site is currently zoned R2 duplex with a minimum lot size for subdivision ranging from 697 square meters when connected both to sewer and water, up to 1,125 square meters when hooked up to sewer only. Without a rezoning application, the applicant could build 5 duplexes for a total of 10 dwelling units on the site. The site is located within the OCP under the neighborhood plan, Pine Avenue section, and listed below are the summary points associated with this proposed development and the neighborhood plan. On the next page, we're looking at a comparison of the R2 zone with the R5 zone, so we can understand what the potential impacts could be to the zoning regulations. There are no financial considerations associated with this report. And what staff is recommending, your worship, is that council request the applicant for the rezoning of 435 Pine Avenue to set up a public notification meeting, which is not a public hearing, as per section 11 of the Village's Development Procedures Bylaw, number 1090/2016.
Thank you. So we have a recommendation here. Do we have a move and a seconder?
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Lytle, seconded by Councillor Jackson. Discussion. Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Worship. I personally think at this particular time with these two developments on time, that what we need to do is hopefully in a couple, 3 months or so, we're gonna have a council retreat to look forward to the future, what we want. And I'm getting a bit concerned about this high density going in there when we don't have the infrastructure, the sidewalks, the roads to accommodate it. And personally, I would like to see this referred and to a later date.
Okay, this is just here for the applicants to set up a public meeting. Is that correct? There's nothing else?
That is correct, so that they can explain their concept to the public and they can answer any of the questions of the public. And then we're not creating a bylaw at this point in time because we've not had that permission or information.
Okay, so whatever comes from that, from what Councillor Jackson says, we can take that to that meeting as well. Councillor Vidal.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Fazio, through you to Mr. Cossey. Question, has this concept or been referred? I know there was a while ago, another proposal came to council
What's next?
on Pine Avenue previously. But at that time, are you aware, was there a referral made to the APC? Or at what stage would it normally be referred to?
Usually,
The APC.
sorry, yes, your worship.
Carry on, please.
Usually the APC is when you're getting into the serious parts of your proposal. It's not usual that you send it to them to start off with, saying, what do you think? It's usually if you send something to them and say, this is what the zoning bylaw could look like. What would you like to add or take out? Or are you okay with this? I would recommend if you wanted to find anything about the public comments or sentiment towards this at this time, is just do a public notification and then you can decide if you want to move it forward. And just please remember also, whenever an application is in front of you, council has the option to reject it at any time.
I think it's important that we do seek engagement with the public, especially in the neighboring areas, and that could be accomplished in the public information meeting. If it needs, after that comes back, if it needs to be delayed further or recommendation of referral to the APC or something, we can certainly look at it at that time. So thank you, Mr. Cossey.
I'm in agreement with Councillor Jackson regarding the density on Pine Avenue. And as I say, this is only going to a public notification meeting, but that whole area came under a special planning in the, I'm not sure which bylaw this is coming under, previous. In the previous bylaw, that come under a special planning area of Pine, and that was for the R2 duplexes that would be on that street. So that's my concern. It's what Councillor Jackson about density and the amount of extra traffic on there. So I suppose having a public notification doesn't give us, if we can just discuss this at a later date. So yeah, I'm personally not in favour of the R5 zone, but this is just for the proponents to do a public notification. I'll call the question. All in favour? Opposed? Yes, and I'm opposed as well. So the motion doesn't pass. Next order of business, please.
The next order of business is report of planning consultant regarding 442 and 464 Pine Avenue rezoning application.
Hi, Mr. Cossey.
Certainly, your worship. This is consideration of a rezoning application from the current R2 zone to an R4 zone for the creation of 18 two-story residential dwellings. The development site consists of 2 properties with the assigned civic addresses of 442 and 464 Pine Avenue. Located on each site is a single-family dwelling, and the combined site is approximately 0.542 hectares, 5,422 square meters, or 1.34 hectares in size, with both being fully serviced and accessible from Pine Avenue and are both relatively flat. There's also a proposed multi-unit development located at 435. And there's a concept plan which is attached to this report for council's review, and that's located on page 156 of the agenda package. The current individual parcels exceed the minimum parcel subdivision size requirements for a 2-plex dwelling. Without a rezoning application, the applicant could build approximately 8 duplexes for a total of 16 dwelling units over the 2 sites. The applicant is proposing 18 dwelling units over the 2 sites at this particular point. The site is located within the OCP under the neighborhood plan Pine Avenue section. That's the old OCP bylaw 864. And there's down the policy requirements as per that requirement. On page 154, there's a comparison of the R2 zone to the R4 zone land use requirements. And the recommendations, your worship, is that council requests the applicant for the rezoning of 442 and 464 Pine Avenue to set up a public notification meeting as per section 11 of the village's development procedures bylaw 1090/2016.
Thank you, Mr. Cossey. We have a recommendation. Do we have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Vital, seconded by Councillor Jackson. Discussion. Councillor Vital.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Facio. I support the recommendation. I think any time we can have the opportunity to engage and seek out comments from any potential rezoning or development, I think it is very important. I do acknowledge the concerns that my colleagues have with the increase in density along Pine Avenue, but as I indicated, I very much am in favor of receiving some feedback through a public information meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jackson.
I would the same as the other one, like to just refer this, your worship. I want to see a concept for the whole area before moving in. When, just a question, when area 1 and area 2 was done, I was on council.
Yes.
At that particular time, we celebrated if one house got built.
Mhm.
So we were looking ways to perhaps enhance more people to come to Harrison, and this is what's happened. But we reached that point right now where we have to sit back and rethink of things and say, well, what do we want 10 years from now? And this is what we really hope we start with the planning, with the new retreat that we're going to have. We can do that. And I may feel much more comfortable when I see a concept plan here or anywhere else in the village, because we still have considerable number of people who still have to be put on the water. So I'm prepared to wait another couple of months.
Thank you. Mr. Cossey, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't this application come up some time ago for the previous council?
Yes,
Yeah.
it did, your worship, and council turned it back to staff and asked to see the concept plan.
Okay, okay. And again, we're going from R2 zone, which is zone 4, to an R zone, which is townhouses, right?
Yes.
Correct. Okay, so again, I have to agree with Councillor Jackson on this one again. So anyway, I'll call the question. All in favour? Opposed? Motion doesn't pass. Thank you. What's all the business?
Moving on to item N, page 159, report of planning consultant regarding 880 Hot Springs Road rezoning application.
Mr. Cossey.
Thank you, your worship. The proponent's agent has made an application to change the zoning requirements for this site from R2 to C1 to accommodate a 45-unit apartment building. The site is located at 880 Hot Springs Road, and there is currently a single-family dwelling and various accessory buildings on the site. The site is currently serviced and is located adjacent to a major access road into Harrison Hot Springs. The site is surrounded by residential uses along its northern, southern, and western boundaries. And the eastern boundary of the site is adjacent to Hot Springs Road and an area zoned for C2 uses. The site is currently designated as a low-density residential site. If this application is to proceed, the site will need to be redesignated to some other designation that is compatible with the proposed use. The site is also also need to be included in a form and character development permit category. And the site is also adjacent to or partially within a current geotech hazard development permit area. And again, as per section 11 of the village's development procedures bylaw, the village can ask the proponent or their agent to hold a public notification meeting. And if requested, the proponent must set up this meeting at their cost and provide the required documentation as outlined in the bylaw. There are some concerns that staff have with this application as noted below. However, the application could be moved forward to should be moved forward to a public notification at this point, as the application has some merit to it. Some of the issues of concern staff have: the placement of the apartment building in this area without the following types of reports or information. There's no geotechnical report. Can the site be used safely for its intended use? There are no traffic flow analysis. How will this proposed development affect the traffic flow along Hot Springs Road? There's no sun shade report. We need to know that the impacts to the village's sewer and water services, the surface water discharge potential, including the flow and the volume, a proper site plan showing the required setbacks and other applicable land use regulations. They should also include a parking plan and a landscaping plan and the overall design of the proposed apartment building. So with that, your worship, we're recommending that council direct the applicant for the rezoning of 880 Hot Springs Road to set up a public notification meeting as per section 11 of the village's development procedures, bylaw number 1090/2016.
So we have a recommendation moved by Councillor Jackson, seconded by Councillor Vital. Discussion. Councillor Vital.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Fazio. This would be a huge change at that location, and just reading what's available to me now, and what Mr. Cossey has reported is I don't feel comfortable that there's enough information at this time to warrant a public information meeting. I think that this should refer back to staff to work with the proponent, and then to come back at a later time to address those issues of concern that Mr. Cossey has noted in the report. So for that reason, I will not be supporting the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jackson.
Yes, your worship, I think I just, if I can make a motion to refer this back to staff. It does have potential, but not right now. The thing that jumps out to me right away is the traffic flow, because we have a substantial number of new buildings just to the north of it. And we have to see how this is all going to work out. So I would refer, if I can, I'd like to refer this back to staff.
Over officer, how would you like this?
Thank you. There's a motion on the table, which was the staff recommendation that council direct the applicant to set a public notification meeting. It would be appropriate to vote on that motion first, and then make a new motion to refer to
On
staff.
the original recommendation, I'll ask a question. All in favour? That one fails. And on the amendment?
So it would be a new motion to refer this application back to staff to work with the proponent and address the concerns in the report.
That was moved by councillor Jackson, second by councillor Vidal. Any further discussion on that? Call the question, all in favour? Nobody opposed, motion passes. Thank you. And who's next?
One,
Okay. Right, page 165, wow.
report of planning consultant regarding 490 and 498 Esplanade Avenue, temporary use permit.
And that's Mr. Cossie again.
Thank you, your worship. The applicant wishes to set up a 64 stall parking lot on 2 adjacent vacant parcels of land located at 490 and 498 Esplanade Avenue. As outlined below, the two sites are currently vacant and are adjacent to a new residential dwelling that has recently been constructed. Each site is approximately 1,011.68 square meters in size, and both parcels are vacant. The parking lot sizes will meet the requirement of the village zoning bylaw, and that the standard stalls will be 2.75 meters wide and 5.8 meters in depth. Based upon the number of stalls being provided, the required number of accessible parking stalls is 6, and the applicant is providing 8. Each of the stalls will be, as I mentioned, 2.8 meters, or each of the stalls will be 2.8 meters wide and 5.8 meters in depth. The surface will be gravel, and the lot will be delineated out by a surface mounted plastic curbs and individual concrete barriers at the end of each stall. And outlined below are samples of concrete barriers and the plastic curb. At the July 8, 2024 regular council meeting, council resolved to consider issuance of this temporary use permit at the August 12, 2024 regular council meeting, and directed staff to post the required public notice. At the time of this report, the village has received one written submission which outlined the following concerns below, and today we've received a second updated version. And your worship, did you wish me to speak to it in full or just do a summary?
Just a summary, please. Thank you.
Thank you, your worship. The concerns that were received the first time around, the northeast and southeast corners do not comply, and would stipulate that there's nothing higher than 0.3 meters in the corners. The northeast entrance is blocked by a large village-owned cedar tree located on the northeast corner of Esplanade Avenue, so the entrance must be dropped. East of Little Avenue is a provincial highway and requires a driveway access permit from highways, which can trigger a 4.5 meter setback. The design guidelines prohibited chain link fencing in the core area, and it should not be allowed in this proposal. It seems that the southeast entrance violates our bylaws, which requires more of a setback from the junction with Spruce Street, and council should require a detailed fencing and landscaping plan for this facility, and should insist that all village boulevards remain clear and level on the north, south, and east sides. Excuse me. And the letter that we received this afternoon at 3:24, the proper role of, well, that's more of a dictation. The temporary use permit still contains the bylaw violations, which I pointed out in my previous observations. These should be dealt, but they have been ignored. The required sightline triangle and setbacks of driveways from Spruce Street intersection are public safety issues if an accident occurs because council has deliberately ignored the safety measures and approved an unsafe highway with no sightlines. The villages will attract huge financial liability. There is no landscaping plan or fence plan, which we talked about earlier. This is a development permit area where aesthetics are important. And everything else is the same as before. The temporary use permit requirements. Council may consider issuing a permit for temporary commercial uses where the following criteria has been reviewed. The temporary use must operate at an intensity of use suitable to the surrounding area. The temporary use is not for any tourist accommodation use in a residential zone. There is adequate space on the lot for the required off-street parking requirements. The temporary use must be compatible with regard to use, design, and operation with the surrounding uses. The temporary use does not negatively affect the surrounding use or properties in terms of noise, lighting, parking, traffic, or any health and safety impacts. and the public has had an opportunity to comment on the proposed temporary use as outlined in the Local Government Act as amended from time to time. Staff is of the opinion that the issuance of this permit for the initial 3-year term period meets the above reference criteria. I'd like to refer you to section 7 of page 170, which outlines the conditions for the temporary use permit. And there's 2 of them there, that this permit is issued for an initial period of 3 years. Any surface water discharge must be retained on site by a system approved by the village. And with that, your worship, we are recommending that temporary use permit number 01-24 be issued by resolution to SLD Land Holdings Incorporated, number BC 1060780 for land legally described as Lot 9, Block 4, fraction of Section 13, Township 4, Range 29, west of the 6th Meridian, New Westminster District Plan 251, and Lot 10, Block 4, Section 13, Township 4, Range 29, west of the 6th Meridian, New Westminster District Plan 251, subject to the following: the village receiving an irrevocable letter of credit in the amount of $1,912.50 and not using any chain link fence around the perimeter of the lots for an initial term to not exceed 3 years.
Okay, so we have recommendations moved by Councillor Vidal, second by Councillor Jackson. Discussion. If I may, I think when this first came up, Mr. Cossey, I did make the comments that the entrance and exit should be on Lillooet, because it wouldn't be feasible to be on Esplanade.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can add that in there as a
Yeah,
requirement.
Esplanade is a no-no, definitely. That's the through traffic.
Yeah.
Through there, and also you've got the new condos and the other one being built, so the exits, the entrance should be on Lillooet.
So I would suggest that it becomes subject to.
Yeah.
That would be number C, the letter C.
Corporate office is just filling that in there. Yes, Councillor Jackson.
Just one comment, we've already done this before.
Yes, you did back
The
in,
difference is we paid money to have parking, correct, parking. So this is a better way around, it's not costing the village any money.
yeah, that was back in 2009.
209.
2009, yeah. That's right, yeah, 2009. Correct, correct.
So goes around, comes around.
That's right.
Any further discussion? Oh, you got, yes, corporate.
So that would be an amendment.
Right.
So it'll be the same process here where we move it and second the amendment, vote on the amendment,
First,
and then vote on the main motion as amended.
on the main motion was moved and seconded, all in favor? Yes, or no?
So we'll get a mover and a seconder, sorry, for the
Sorry.
amendment to add item C, that the entrances and exits be off of
That's on
Lillooet
the
Avenue.
amendment?
Yeah.
Moved by Councillor Vidal, second by Councillor Jackson. Call the question, all in favor? Okay.
Back
The
to
main motion?
The main motion as amended, yeah.
As amended, the main motion, so this one counts as well, okay? Yes, as amended. All, we had a move and a second for that?
We had
We
that.
had. Call the question, all in favor? Thank you, that passes as well. Thank you. Okay. Wow. Go to 165, page 172. Before there's next questions from the public. Yeah, just before the questions from the public, I just quickly want to say thank you to the councillors and this is my last meeting as deputy mayor, regular council meeting. There may be other meetings between now and September when Councillor Vidal takes over as a deputy mayor. I just want to thank my fellow councillors and the staff. We went through a difficult period, but it's pretty obvious now that through the reports that you've heard tonight and the previous councils, that a lot is being accomplished by our staff. It's been a backlog of work, and they've managed to catch up, and I'm very grateful to the staff for the excellent job that they've done. And thank you again to my fellow councillors. It's been a pleasure running these regular council meetings. And but I say there may be other meetings in between now and September, but this is the last regular one for this month as well, till September, right? Okay, so questions from the public, yes? We'll ask Zoom people first, please.
Yep, we got a question from Julie, so,
Zoom people first, please, thank you.
Julie, I'm just gonna unmute you. Should be good.
Come
Hi.
in. Are you there, Julie?
Hi,
You have a question pertaining to the agenda?
yes. 410 Echo,
Yes.
why, it's up for sale by out of province owners. So why do we go through the process of all this development, blah, 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 blah? And ultimately they sell and the new owners may not go down the same road. Why do we do this to enhance their selling value?
I'm afraid that, Mr. Cossey, would you have an answer to that? I think it's something we can't, selling of land or properties is not a,
Yeah, the selling of it is irrelevant to us as we go through this process. We've received an application, the owner or their agent has not asked us to stop working on it, and we can only stop working on it if and when their agent or the owner says we're withdrawing our application. And unfortunately, we have to keep proceeding with the application until we get that notification from either the agent or the owner.
Okay, I understand the checks and balances of politics. However, that's ridiculous because they have no intention of developing it.
I'm afraid I can't answer that, Julie, nor can any of council
Okay,
here.
just my
Thank
point.
you,
Thanks.
thank you. Anybody else on Zoom? No, carry on, sir.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Acting Mayor. John Allen, 398 Hot Springs Road, also on 410 Echo Avenue, the old Stokely residence. Two things. First of all, when we established the Miami River Greenway plan in 1983, we have established the Greenway on both sides of the Miami River and actually south of here. And the intention then was to eventually acquire a pathway between Spring Park and the balance of Naismith Avenue. And the only opportunity to do that is during such an application as this, where the village has the authority to say, we need a dedicated pathway or an easement along the Miami River to link up and complete the Miami River Greenway Trail. So I'm wondering why that hasn't been a consideration with this in planning terms, because we do the long term, or at least we had a plan that the Miami River Greenway Trail would come all the way from the village center right back to Macomb on both sides of the river. And the only way to do it is by demanding the necessary land from landowners like this at the time of development. It's a SPIA zone anyway, they can't build on it. So it's of minimal value, and this is a good time to acquire it. I'm just wondering why that isn't a consideration at this point.
Yeah, I think Councillor Vidal asked that question. Mr. Cossey, you have the answer.
Yes, I do, your worship. It's because this development permit is not a subdivision. A development permit has to meet the guidelines as outlined in the official community plan. When we get the subdivision application going and active, this is where we can ask for those sorts of things. But at the development permit stage, we cannot ask for it at this time. But at the subdivision stage, yes, we can.
And your next question, sir.
Okay, well, very good, except the council doesn't actually have any subdivision authority. It goes over to the approving officer, and you've lost control by that stage. The laneway, is that going to be a municipal laneway or a private laneway?
That will be sorted out at the subdivision stage, your worship.
Right.
Well, I think it's the type of thing that we need to know. I think it should be designated as a road or a street, become village property. We should know that going into the project. I'm not asking any more questions at the moment on that because other people are waiting to ask. But I did want to ask one other brief question on on the Pine Avenue thing, I really think that if we're doing any real planning, we need to say right now that we are going to have to expand Pine Avenue, which is a collector street in terms of the street hierarchy. And we probably need an additional 25 feet of width somewhere along that road. And you can probably get it on both sides. You might not be able to widen the whole road to the necessary width, but at least you should be telling the developers today, we're going to require 20 feet extra roadway. And again, we are entitled as a village to have that as road dedication in addition to the 5% of land that we get for parkland. So I think that that should be laid out somewhere as part of the expectation that we need that road to be widened. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Yes, ma'am. Sorry, Mr. Costa, you had a comment there?
Yes, I was just gonna say, those comments that Mr. Allen was talking about, again, can only happen at the subdivision stage. They cannot happen at a rezoning stage or anything else like that.
Thank you.
Good evening,
Good
Teresa
evening.
Hollis, 641 Skinner Place. My questions are in regards to the streetscape anticipated plan for Lillooet Avenue. And I'd like to direct my question to the arborist that was consulted and whether or not any consideration could be given to the species of a pink dogwood or a flowering cherry tree. I understand the ginkgo biloba, we have one in our yard. They're beautiful. They are easy to maintain. They're lovely. They have a smaller leaf structure and volume in comparison to the Acer macrophyllum, which is a type of maple tree. The maple trees have larger leaves and they would produce more sap and also wasps. So the carpinus, I'm not sure what that looks like in process, but the reason I'm asking about these specific two varieties of the pink dogwood and the flowering cherry trees is because it would further go towards a vision for increasing tourism for Harrison. Flowering cherry trees are very popular in Vancouver and many people come from all over to view them. There's a resident that asked me if I ever got the opportunity to put that suggestion forward, and it has come up beautifully, and so I'm suggesting that. And it could be possibly brought into Harrison Cherry Blossom Festival in the spring. The other reason I'm asking about the dogwood tree is because when I was doing my fundraising walk with the mayor of Kent Agassiz 1 year ago, one of the things that I promised was a thank you gift, and that was to dedicate a tree to the village of Harrison Hot Springs. And I had discussed my desire to dedicate a tree to the village as a thank you for helping me with the fundraising efforts. And I was looking to dedicate a pink dogwood tree. And I discussed that choice with one of the village technicians, and he felt that would be a great choice. But when I suggested planting the tree, I was under the tenureship of Mayor Wood, who's no longer here as the mayor. It was also during the wildfire season, and the acting CAO at the time, Ms. Ridley, suggested that that be put off to a later date, and if there was a streetscape opportunity that came up, to bring it forth then. So again, I'm bringing this forward. If those two trees would be suitable, then I would like to dedicate one of the pink dogwood trees or a pink cherry tree as my thank you to Harrison on that streetscape project.
I think our corporate officer's been writing that down, have you not? Yes, taking that. Thank you very much. Would anybody else wish to ask a question pertaining to the agenda? Thank you.
My name is Bill Greason from Chilliwack 43385 South Summers Road. We're the ones trying to develop 442, 464 Pine. My question would be, when do you think would be a time when the study would be done for when that area could be upgraded? The lots we have, just 2 parcels, as you can see. The houses have lived its life. So we're kind of either do we remodel, and we've had a neighborhood meeting and talked to neighbors. They would love to see the renters go, because it's you know, it's old homes, so you're not going to get the quality renters. So we're kind of pushing and trying to do something, and we've obviously this is our second try. So is there a question is when will possibly be a timeline for us to know what would happen, because these lots are large, so we would assume you can't just build one house 0.6 acre kind of thing.
I would anticipate that, number one, it's important that we get through this by-election, so we have a mayor, another councillor on board. So I'm anticipating it be, and the inaugural meeting is until October, the first meeting in October. So I'm anticipating towards the end of October, maybe November, before we have a council get together to discuss what Councillor Jackson had brought up as well. So it'll be the fall.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay,
I can't give you an exact date, I'm afraid, at the moment.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
One brief
Sure.
question that I forgot to mention, please. I'd like to direct my question in regards to the 880 Hot Springs Road. I would like to know if that is the site of the old gas station that was in Harrison. Apparently there was a gas station here at one point. I was informed by some of the residents. And they believe that the tanks are still buried there. So if so, that would be a concern for.
I don't recall the gap. There was a mechanic shop opposite,
Okay,
mechanical shop on the east side.
so it was on the Front Street
Long
side?
time ago, there was a gas station on one of those properties.
Oh, was it? Okay, Mark, there you go. Thanks, Mark.
Apparently the tanks are still buried, so that would be a concern for residential.
Well, that'd be an environmental, what Mr. Cossey before they would even start that, that would be an environmental issue to be taken care by the developers, yes, for sure.
Great,
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Last question, thank you.
Small question regarding Memorial Hall. I'd like to know if council is aware of your policy that says that while $50 an hour is a reasonable price, and even though you waived it for the chamber, if I want to use the hall, I have to pay the $50 an hour. $100 for 2 hours is okay. The problem is that you also require me to go out and get liability insurance.
Yes.
And that can cost me $300 or $400 for 2 hours of coverage and take me about a week to get organized. And I don't understand why it's even necessary, because the hall is covered for community use. You get all kinds of coverage through MIA. And when I try to explain it to the insurance brokers, they say, why do you need this? The hall is already covered. So I think that you need to review that, and maybe are you intending to charge the Chamber of Commerce the insurance fee and make them go to buy insurance?
No, I think that's when we waive the fees, that was waiving the fees for everything, is that correct?
Well, it's not part of the fee, it's an additional requirement. In addition to the fee,
We will have to look at our policy regarding that, Mr.
Well,
Allen. Thank you very much.
I'd suggest that you get rid of that charge and just charge a fee.
Thank you for your comments. Yes, sir.
If I may, Mark Ferrero, 345 Chestnut Avenue. I have one quick question. With this SenseNet, there already seems to be some issues. And we haven't even begun. And it was already supposed to be started and some of the stuff in place. Will we have ultimately an option to back out of this and look for another situation or another customer?
At this time, no, unfortunately, we're locked in.
All right, thank you.
Motion to adjourn, moved by Councillor Jackson, seconded by Councillor Vidal. Call the question, all in favour? Thank you, motion passes. Thank you, everybody, for coming out this evening.